All right, folks, we are officially live. Welcome to my Sunday live stream where I answer your questions. Thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it. It really means the world to me. I want to say thank you again to everybody out there that watches my videos. I really appreciate it. This channel is growing like crazy, and it's all real followers too, by the way, folks. I feel that there's a lot of YouTubers and social media guys that buy their following. They pay their way through all this stuff. But this channel is 100% authentic. It's real followers. It's real people. And it's just amazing the community that I've built here. So many people have become great friends of mine now, and I teach people from all over the world. And I could not do this without you guys. So I'm forever thankful to all the fans out there and everybody that supports me. So again, thank you so much for that. But it's been a busy week here in Nashville for me. I've been gigging and I've been teaching like crazy. It's just been nuts. So I'm excited. I'm playing out in Tuscaloosa next weekend, so that should be cool. And I've got some in-town stuff as well, and I'll be teaching as well. And I've just been going crazy lately. I've been buying all kinds of instruments lately. The bug has just bit so hard. It's just nuts. I mean, I've been going crazy, like I was saying. I got a 64 Hummingbird, which I absolutely love. I love the way it plays, and I love the way it sounds. It's just perfect. And what's really cool with that acoustic is that there's no repairs, there's no cracks, there's no neck reset. A lot of these older acoustics have a lot of issues. And that's why I've honestly always kind of stayed away from vintage acoustics, because they just have so much repairs and so many issues. And I just don't really want to mess with any of that stuff. But this Hummingbird is just absolutely perfect, man. It is 100% straight. There's no repairs, no modifications, no anything. And it's very lightweight, and it just sounds great, man. I just love the way it plays and the way it sounds. It's just really good. But I got that, and then what else did I get? I got a 66 Telly, which was really cool. It's in blonde finish, really lightweight as well. It's only 6.7 pounds, and that guitar is just perfect, man. It just really plays great, sounds incredible. I'm actually having some work done to it. There was a couple frets that just needed to be cleaned up and just needed to be, polished and just kind of cleaned up a little bit. There's only 2 frets on the fretboard that I wanted just crowned and just polished up, but that guitar is 100% original. I am putting on the Glazer saddles as well, which I believe they call those the Groove Masters, and they just sound really good. I love the way those saddles sound, and I also like how it really keeps the string in place. A lot of those older saddles from the Telecaster, if you go in for like a really big bend, the string will actually move on you, and it'll move along the saddle there. Those saddles from 66 are really good. I prefer those kind of saddles. Actually, if you are going to use the original vintage saddles, I like those saddles that they used in 66. But I just like those Glazer ones, man. They sound really good. And again, if you go in for a big bend, the string's not going to move on you whatsoever. So I'm having those put on as well. But that's it with that guitar, man. That guitar is perfect. It's really, really great. But let's see here. We've got Scott in the house. Hey, Scott, what's going on, man? Thanks so much for being here. Says here, steaming the necks off old acoustics is pretty intense. Yeah, definitely. I would definitely imagine that's quite a process for sure. And I've just always kind of stayed away from old acoustics. I've always wanted a great Hummingbird, so that's why I went with this guitar. But man, this particular Hummingbird is just perfect. Like I was saying, I mean, there's no neck reset, there's no modifications, no cracks, no anything. And I do love the sound of a great old Hummingbird, man. Just the old wood, man, it just sounds just magical. It's just incredible. So I'm really happy with that. I'm so glad to have found that. It's really rare to find one that is 100% straight like that. So really happy with that. But yeah, that 66 Telly has been wonderful. I've got a 6970 Les Paul Custom that I got recently as well that is really cool. It's a transitional guitar, and what's really cool is It's pretty much all 69 spec. The only thing with that guitar that makes it a 70 is actually the pots. And the pots are only the 10th week into 70. So it's really the only thing. I mean, because there's no Made in USA stamp on the back of the headstock, and the volute is just next to nothing. I mean, you can barely even tell that there's a volute on that guitar. So I love guitars like that. I love to collect guitars like that because it just makes it so much more rare. Because yes, there's a lot of 69 Les Paul customs, and yes, there's a lot of 70 Les Paul customs out there, but how many of them are that transitional where it doesn't have the Made in USA stamp? It has a next to none volute, next to nothing volute, like they're very rare, and I love to buy guitars like that are really transitional like that because there's only a few of them out there, man, and it just makes that instrument that much more rare. And it's cool, man. It's pretty much all 69 spec except for the pots, like I was saying. So really rare, really collectible for sure. Oh man, a little tired today, but man, really happy to be here. Thanks so much for everybody that is here currently right now, and man, stay tuned. I've got a bunch more videos coming out here soon. I'm really excited about this channel, and I'm keeping the content coming for you guys. So, I know I took a little bit of a break a few months ago, but it's just sometimes really difficult for me because of all the things that I have going on as a player, as a guitar player here with all the gigs and just everything I do. It's really hard to juggle the YouTube channel and making videos and also doing that as well. So, I know there's a lot of people that was emailing me that were like, man, where are you? Where are you at? We miss you. And so, again, I really apologize about that. But, I'm not going anywhere. I love doing this stuff, and I love doing these live streams especially. Just so fun. But let's see here. Scott says here, I have a 79 3-bolt Stratocaster. Some 79 have 4-bolt necks. I've had this guitar since 1980. Cool, man. That's awesome. Is it real heavy? I'd be curious. Those later 70s, man, the Fenders and Gibsons, man, that was just kind of a funky time for those companies. They're normally really heavy, and I know a lot of those like Strats and a lot of the Fender stuff. I mean, they were actually using like furniture wood to build their guitars, which is pretty bizarre. But hey, man, if you like it and you get inspiration from it, that's great, man. That's awesome. I know for myself, I normally try to stay away from the later 70s, to be honest. I'm just not a big fan of those instruments, a lot of them. They're just kind of crazy. Like I was saying, they're real heavy, and they just don't really sound that great, to be honest. I normally try to stay very early 70s. 72 is really the cap for me. Of course, late 60s is great, 60s, 50s, of course, but obviously it's, the prices on those instruments are just insane in comparison to a late 70s. But let's see here. Scott says here, the 79 is a natural ash and pretty heavy. Neck is a little chunky, but the action is very low. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm definitely not surprised, man, for sure. Those later 70s are crazy, crazy heavy, for sure. Just funny, man, how different those instruments are. But yeah, folks, if you guys have any questions for me, feel free to leave it there in the chat box. I'd be happy to answer. I don't have a lot of time today, but I just thought I would follow through and follow up here with doing my live stream. I am here in town this weekend, which has been nice. And, it was cool, man. I had a really busy week here in Nashville, just playing and teaching and stuff. And I was actually over at Rumble Seat Music here in Nashville, which is a really great shop, by the way, folks. Here, if you're visiting Nashville or if you're in town and you haven't been, be sure to go and check them out, man. They have a lot of really great instruments, and the guys that work there are super cool. They're really good guys. And I was just there the other day, and I actually ran into Joe Bonamassa, and he was in there getting a 60 Les Paul, and I was just like, man, he got this beautiful, beautiful Les Paul, and he actually brought in this really nice gold top over there that has two P90s, and I was just like, man, that guitar is super nice, but man, it is so expensive, man. I mean, that 60 Les Paul that he got was 325,000. It's just crazy, man. Those older Les Pauls, I mean, they're amazing, man, for sure. And I would love to have one day, but man, they are just going for crazy money, man, just crazy. That guitar was 325,000. And they also have over there right now a 57 Gold Top that is just absolutely beautiful, and that's 190,000. But I would love to have that guitar, man. That is just a sweet guitar. But it's just so fun here in Nashville. Like, I'll run into so many friends all the time here in town. I've just been here a while, so I know so many people. And I've been a player for a long time now, and I just know so many people. So it's always really cool just going out to these guitar shops or going around town, and I'll run into old friends all the time. So it's a lot of fun around here in Nashville, and it's a very small town around here. It still is, even though it has grown so much. It's still very much a small town, which is really nice, and I like that kind of feel for a city. But let's see, we have CZ in the house. Hey CZ, what's going on? Thanks so much for being here. She says here, hi Justin, what's going on? And she also says here, hey, I talked to George Gruen on his birthday. He's a wonderful guy. Yeah, definitely, he is, for sure. I've had many conversations with him over the years, and he's just a really smart guy, just a really, really nice, very smart, very intelligent guy. And we've had some really amazing conversations over the years, and he really is just a very, very special person here in Nashville, for sure. And there's just something about that shop, man. There's just this amazing vibe there that is just really hard to explain. You just have to be there to experience the energy there. And, I'm really sensitive to that kind of thing. If I get a weird energy in a room or a weird energy with somebody, I'm very sensitive to that. But with Gruen, man, it's just a really special thing. And I love going there. I mean, they just have amazing stuff. And we have 1002 Northeast in the house. What's going on, man? How are you? Nice to see you. Says here, I'm late. What did I miss? Man, not too much right now. Just kind of getting everybody caught up, on what I've been doing this week. And, I've been going crazy. I've been buying a bunch of instruments. It's just the bug has been really bad, really hard. And, man, I bought a 64 Hummingbird. I got a 66 Tele. I got a 6970 Les Paul Custom. And I've just been buying stuff like crazy lately. So I'm actually going to get this week a 64 SG that's 100% original. And I'm really, really excited about that. I mean, it is crazy, crazy expensive, but it is well worth it, man. It is a killer guitar. So I'm really excited about that. But CZ says here, George is a gem. Yeah, absolutely, for sure, definitely. Yeah, that's a great shop. But, it's so cool here in Nashville, because there's so many great shops here now. I mean, just even go down 8th Avenue. You have Gruen Guitars. You have Rumble Seat. You have Carter Vintage. I mean, there's just all of these stores now here, and it's just insane as a guitar player because there is so much gear here in Nashville that it is just crazy. And I have a lot of people that offer me stuff, whether they're here in Nashville or if they're fans of mine here on YouTube. I just get offered stuff all the time, so it just gets so difficult to afford all of this stuff. It's so hard to just swing all of these different instruments because the values of this stuff has just gone up so much. It's just unbelievable, and I just get offered stuff, and sometimes it's so hard to say no. So it's like, man, I just got to find a way to make it work. So after I buy this 64 SG, I'm definitely going to be eating ramen noodles, going forward for quite a while. I'm going to be broke as a joke. But it is well worth it. So if you guys would like to support me, and you guys want to contribute to my vintage guitar addiction, check out all of the links that I have down below in the description box. If you guys want to throw a little love in the Venmo tip jar or the PayPal tip jar or a super chat here in today's live stream, any and all support is really appreciated. I do offer one-on-one online lessons, which has been a tremendous help for me as a player and as a musician. I teach people from all over the world, and these lessons are absolutely amazing. You're actually seeing and hearing the exact setup that I use for these lessons. It's all pro video and pro audio, and what's so cool is that you'll actually get a recorded copy at the very end of the lesson. So you could just simply download the video and rewatch it as many times as you want. So it's actually better than an in-person lesson. So you can actually go back and, rewatch the video and really retain all of the information that I give out within these lessons. So if you are interested, hit me up. My email is jkm4231@gmail.com. That's also linked down below in the description box. I really, really appreciate any and all support. So I just want to take the time to mention that because that is a tremendous help for me to continue on doing this as a musician. It's a tremendous help. And, really, as I always say, I could not do it without you guys. I need your support. So any and all support is really appreciated. But, yeah, so that's that there. I've got the 64 SG coming in, which I'm really excited about. It's lightweight. It's got the wide nut. It has all of the perfect spec, the specs that you would want from an SG. The sideways vibrola, it doesn't really work very well on the earlier SGs, and 64 is just really the right year for the SG. If you're going to go in and buy a vintage SG, you really want a 64, man. That is the year for the SG. It's the perfect neck profile. It's got the vibrola, it's got the pad number pickups. It's just absolutely perfect. It's just the year for the SG. It's hands down the most collectible. And, for me, when they go to the skinny nut in 65, I just can't get along with that, man. I can't get along with the smaller neck. And it just sucks so bad that they changed that in 65, It's so crazy how the values just completely just diminish in 65, on these vintage guitars because of that thin nut, I just cannot get along with those, even like 335s, especially on that instrument. The thin nut on the 335, man, is just terrible. I cannot stand that, man, on the 335, man. I think it just absolutely killed that instrument when they did the skinny nut and the smaller neck, man. It's just awful. But Scott says here, Angus Young from AC/DC buys SGs from the same year. Yeah, I'm sure, man. I mean, 64 is the year. It's the perfect SG, It's the right neck profile, and the vibrola just really stays in tune really well. It's really good, they're just amazing instruments, and it's crazy, man, because for me, like, I love a great Les Paul, but I don't know, man, with the right 64 SG, I think I may actually like that better. I just like the additional mid-range. I like the way that sounds, man. I like the way they play. They're lighter weight. They're more mid-rangey. I just like them, man. I mean, I love a great Les Paul. Don't get me wrong. They're my favorite. But I really go back and forth on what's my favorite, if it's a Les Paul or if it's an SG, I love both of them so much, and I really do this dance where I just go back and forth of like, oh man, I love the SG more than a Les Paul, but then I'll be like, oh no, I like the Les Paul better than the SG. But I don't know, that's why I just feel you got to have them all, That's why I've got a 335, I've got a Les Paul, I've got an SG, You just got to have them all, man. You just got to have them all. They're all just different flavors, man. And even a great pre-65 335, that is an amazing instrument. And, I really got to say that 64 was just such a great year in general for guitars, man. I mean, from Fender, from Gibson, it's just an amazing year. With Gibson, they had the wide nut. I feel with Fender, with the Stratocasters, the neck profile is just perfect on a 63, a 64 Strat, those are hands down my favorite. And I think the pickups sound really good. Even from Gibson, the patent number pickups are very consistent. They're very good. And I just feel that was such a great year for electric guitar and even for acoustics. Like I just got this 64 Hummingbird that I was talking about earlier. And I just absolutely love that year. It's the perfect neck profile. And I just feel that they really got it dialed in at that point. The pickups are really good sounding. The neck profile is perfect. But then what's so funny is then in 65, right after they have it absolutely perfect with Gibson, they go down to the thin nut and just completely F up everything. It's just the craziest thing. But I just love those instruments, man. Like from Fender, from Gibson, 63, 64, man, what a great year for electric guitar and instruments in general at that point. So I am after all of those instruments. So if anybody's ever selling anything too, feel free to send me an email. It's just down below, jkm4231@gmail.com. I'm always buying stuff. I'm always looking for the next vintage guitar. So if you have anything that's just not being played that you're looking to move, hit me up. My email is down below, jkm4231@gmail.com. That is my personal email. So, feel free to just send off an email. But let's see here. 1002 Northeast says here, what amp pairs well with the 64? Man, I normally really like Fenders, Marshalls, and Voxes. So it really just kind of depends on what you're going for. But, man, if you have a 64 335 and you plug that into a Fender Deluxe Reverb, I mean, that is just going to be one hell of a guitar sound. It's going to sound killer. Absolutely killer. So I love that combination. It just depends on what instrument you're playing, For me, with an SG, I like an old Marshall with that. I like an old Fender, I like an old Vox, I mean, they all pair really well. I think it just depends on what I'm going for. But really with an SG, I would prefer to play a Marshall. With a Les Paul, you could kind of use whatever amp. I mean, a Deluxe Reverb, an old Plexi. You could use a Vox AC15, AC30. I'm not crazy about vintage Voxes, from the 60s. They're just really unreliable. So for me, I really like the 90s stuff. They were just built much better, and I like the way that they sound, man. I've got a 90s AC15 that I just absolutely love. I think it sounds phenomenal. And what I normally like to do with that amp is I normally like to blend it. So I'll actually run a Deluxe Reverb and the AC15 together, just because those two amps really complement each other really well. The Deluxe Reverb is very mid-scooped, whereas the AC15, it has a lot more mid-range and it's very chimey. And when you combine both of those amps together, they just really complement each other really, really well. And I just love that combination. So really, any one of those amps would work great with the SG, the Les Paul, the 335, the Tele, especially with the Telecaster. 66, I've got the 66 Tele. That's absolutely badass. And what's really cool with that year is that is a great year for the Tele, by the way, because they did a lot of pre-CBS stuff with that instrument in particular that year. It's still very lightly finished. They don't go to the heavier finish like they do later on in the 60s and into early 70s. And a lot of those are just very lightweight. The pickups sound really good. It's just a really good year. They were using good saddles on the bridge. And I love that era for the Tele, and 66s are just phenomenal. But really just going back to your question, just about anything, man. I mean, old Plexis, old Voxes, old Deluxe Reverbs will really work great. Let's see. Scott says here, have you used any PRS amps? Yes, I have, and honestly, I don't like any of them. The ones that I've played, at least. I haven't played all of them, but I've played some, and I'm just like, man, they are rough. They're really, really rough sounding, man. I just honestly don't like them, to be honest. So there's that. CZ says here, hey, Tom is going to sell that black SG he played on the Vince tour. Yeah, he actually texted me about that the other day. Before I seen he made a video talking about it. But yeah, he texted me the other day that he was going to be selling it. I think that would be a really fun guitar, man. I actually I reached out to him a while ago about that guitar to see if he was selling it, but he wasn't selling it at the time. But I don't know. It's hard for me, like I was saying earlier, to swing all of this stuff. You know, I've made the commitment to get that 64 SG, and it's just like, man, it's really hard for me to swing all of this. You know, the 64 Humminbird, the what else? I mean, the 66 Telly I just got. I got that 6970 Les Paul Custom, and now I'm getting the 64 SG. So, you know, this is a tremendous amount of money, you know, and it's just hard for me to swing everything. I would love to buy that SG. I mean, it's definitely a player. It's really a player grade guitar for sure. But I think it's pretty cool that it's got the PAFs in there, and I mean, it looks like the refinish is very lightly finished, which is cool. I'm not a big fan of Grovers, to be honest, and I know that that's what's on that guitar, but that definitely would be fun. I think it would be a really fun guitar for sure, but it's just a lot. It's hard for me to swing all of this stuff. So, but let's see. 1002 Northeast says here, if you had 65 grand burning a hole in your wallet, what would you buy if I told you it had to gain value in the next 10 years? Well, man, I tell you, I honestly would buy a 335. That's exactly what I would buy. And I mean, if you were interested and you wanted to buy my 61 335, you know, that is 100% original except for the frets. You know, it's been refretted, but, you know, you can actually play it and enjoy it. And I really believe those guitars are really going to go up like crazy. Because the thing is honestly, a lot of old 335s, in my opinion, actually sound better than Les Pauls. And, you know, there's a lot of very similar specs to a Les Paul. You know, you have the original PAFs, you have the ABR, you know, you've got the stop tail. And, you know, they just sound so good, man. I mean, they call them burst killers for a reason, you know. And I just really believe that, man. I really feel that that instrument is just going to go up like crazy, man. I think that guitar, it is going to go up like crazy because people are going to realize here shortly, and a lot already do realize this, you know, that these 335s honestly sound better than a lot of these old Les Pauls. And these Les Pauls have just gotten out of control with the pricing, you know. I mean, 350, like I was saying earlier, you know, I ran into Bonamassa here in Nashville the other day, and I seen that he was getting a 60 Les Paul, which is really cool, and I'm not saying anything bad. I thought it was a beautiful guitar that he got, you know, but that guitar was $325,000 for a vintage Les Paul, you know. I mean, and trust me, I get it. I get it, man. They're really collectible. They're beautiful instruments. They sound absolutely amazing, you know. But it's like, Jesus Christ, man. I mean, $325,000 for an electric guitar, whereas you could get my 61 335 for 65 grand. You could get a 60 335. You could get a 59 335 for much less than a vintage Les Paul. You know, way, way less than a vintage Les Paul. I mean, 59s, 58s, 60s Les Pauls have just gotten out of control, and I think a lot of people are just out, man, to be honest. You know, when an instrument starts to get to be 500,000, that is just nuts, man. I'm sorry, I just think that is just absolutely nuts. I mean, I love vintage guitars, I love all of this stuff, but I don't know, man. 500,000 for a vintage Les Paul, that is just out of control, man. Absolutely out of control. So, that's honestly what I would say, man. You know, if you have that kind of money, buy a pre-65 335. And especially if you could go early, man. If you could get a 58, a 59, a 60, or a 61, with PAFs, stay in those years, man. Those guitars are going to go up like crazy. And let's see here. We have Bjorn in the house. Hey, Bjorn, what's going on, man? Great to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Let's see. I agree that 66 was a great year for Fender. I have a beat-up blonde maple cap Telly. That's my main guitar. Also have a 66 Deluxe Reverb I play almost every day. Yeah, absolutely, man. The amps that they were making in those days are phenomenal. I do think the 66, the CBS era Deluxe Reverbs do sound a little bit different, man, than the pre-CBS Deluxe Reverbs. I personally hear with the pre-CBS stuff, there's a little bit more mid-range in comparison to the CBS era Deluxe Reverbs. That's just my opinion, but I still really like the CBS era Deluxe Reverbs. The 65, 66, they sound great. And man, they made some really good instruments in those years, and they were still doing a lot of the pre-CBS stuff, with the Telecasters and the Strats in those days, So it's just a great year. Those instruments they made were amazing, and I think they used the right saddles. I like those saddles much better than the earlier saddles that they were using, but I just feel in general they were making really good guitars. Because then later on in the 60s, they started finishing them a lot heavier, and they just started changing up a lot of stuff, with like the F-branded tuners that I don't like at all. They just don't work great, and I just don't like those, I like the Clousons, man. Those are my favorite, man. I like Clousons. They're just so much better. But anyways, let's see here. We've got Corey in the house. Hey, Corey, what's going on, man? Thanks so much for being here. Says here, I feel the Collings I-35s are getting serious attention because of the quote-unquote secret is out on the vintage 335s. Yeah, I mean, I think if you want a reissue instrument, the Collings stuff, they make great stuff, man. I mean, they make really, really good stuff. I actually would love to get some of their acoustics. That's on my list as well of stuff that I want to get, because I've just been having all kinds of issues with this J45, I got it brand new, and the truss rod had no tension, and I didn't realize this until I started playing, and I started seeing that the neck was moving around on me like crazy, and I've since added tension, and I've adjusted the rod and stuff, but that neck has just been all over the place, man, on that guitar, man. It just pisses me off so much. I was just like, man, I am done with the reissue acoustics from Gibson, man. After this J45, that was just the nail in the coffin for me, man. I just said I'm completely effing done. So I'm getting rid of that, and I'm going to go with a Collings acoustic. I think they make really nice stuff. I do wish that they would just throw a pickup in their acoustics. I mean, come on, man. Like, $7,000 for a Collings acoustic, and they don't even have an effing pickup in the thing, man. I mean, what the hell? Like, that is just crazy to me, man. I just can't believe that, man, that there's no pickup in there for $7,000 on that, man. Just nuts, man, on some of those Collings acoustics. But they do really make really good stuff, man. They really do. And those 335s they make are really good. They're expensive as all hell. And, but that said, they make great stuff, Just my take on it is I would rather save the money and put it into, a vintage 335. That's just my opinion. But to each their own. Some people like the new instruments and like having something brand new. So, that's cool. But let's see here. CZ says here, hey, that SG has the magic, the fire, and the light. It does. It really does. This 64 I'm about to get is collector grade. It's super effing nice. It's got the wide nut. and the neck is just perfect, man. It just feels killer. The pickups sound great. It's just a great instrument, man. Really, really good. So I'm really excited about that. But, that SG that Tom is selling, he hit me up about the other day. That's a really cool guitar too, and I'm sure that would be fun. It's just such a player grade instrument. And that's my only thing with those is like, I really like a clean guitar. If I'm going to be throwing around this kind of money, it really has to be right. It has to be perfect. And for me, I try to stay away from player grade guitars because they're just really hard to sell. They're really, really hard to sell, and if I ever needed to, and for me, with throwing around this kind of money, it's so hard for me to afford all of this stuff that I need to know that I can sell it if I need to get the money back out of it. So it's a huge consideration for me when I'm going in to invest this kind of money. I mean, it really has to be right. It's got to be 100%. And I really try to stay away from player grade guitars unless I really have that kind of money and that's just in my account that I could throw around, and I could actually enjoy the instrument and keep it, and really use it. That's really the only time. But when it comes to throwing around that kind of money, man, it really has to be right for me. So where the hell was I? Here we go. Scott says here there were a lot more early 60s 335s made than Les Pauls. It's what Chuck Berry played. Yeah, well, of course. I mean, and that's why, the price of those old Les Pauls are much more right now than the 335s. But I think as more and more people realize, how much better a lot of those 335s sound and play, those values are just going to go up like crazy, and they still have PAFs, they still have the old pots. Like, it's a very similar spec to a Les Paul, so I think those guitars are just going to go up like crazy, and I think right now that is like the best deal that is out there right now. If you're looking at that kind of instrument, you're looking to spend that kind of money, I think an old 335, man, is just absolutely killer. And, I really notice a massive difference between the pre-65 335s and the reissue 335s. Those guitars are so different, man. It is so mind-blowing how different those guitars are. Like, they're just not the same instruments at all. And I just can't believe what these reissue instruments are selling for nowadays. I mean, it's just mind-blowing to me how expensive this stuff is. And it's just so frustrating, because those instruments are so different, man. Like, it's just mind-blowing to me how different they are than the pre-65, man. The way that they feel, man, the construction of them. And, they're really hard instruments to make. That's another thing I'll say about the 335s, There's very few people that actually try to attempt to build a 335 because it's really effing difficult. That's why. Really everybody and their brother builds a Strat and a Tele because they're a lot easier to make, It's a lot easier to make than a 335, But man, they are really hard guitars to make, and I just personally feel that even the modern reissues that Gibson currently makes right now is not the same as what they did pre-65, man. It's just not the same at all. But let's see. 1002 Northeast says here, if B is spending $335,000 for a guitar, Bonamassa, you mean? Yeah, it's because he knows his name will be able to sell it for more later, sooner. In his case, the purchase is more of an investment. Personally, I'd buy a GT3 RS. That's cool. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a huge investment. When you're throwing around that kind of money, man, like, you have to look at it as a major investment, But Bonamassa is very particular, man. And, man, what a player he is, man. I love his playing, man. He's a super nice guy. And he gets a lot of shit from people for no reason. And I think a lot of it is just out of jealousy. I think a lot of it is out of jealousy because the guy can play his ass off, for one. For two, I think he has probably one of, if not the best collections in the world. I mean, it's unbelievable what the guy has. And he's the nicest dude ever. Like, he's such a nice guy. I don't know why he gets so much shit. And I think a lot of it is just out of jealousy, man. I really feel that. He can play his ass off, man. I mean, I remember, man, he was so nice to me and my family in Columbus. I was up there for Thanksgiving once, and they allowed my dad and my stepmom to come with me to experience the sound check, and they gave us great seats at the gig. And it was great to hear his guitar tone on stage, man. It sounded killer, man. It was loud as all hell, but that's how it should be, I like that, man. I like a loud-ass electric guitar, and it sounded killer, man. I mean, he's got some amazing gear, man. Really, really amazing gear, and his tone is just absolutely killer. Absolutely killer. But let's see. DH is in the house. Hey, man, what's going on? Thanks so much for being here. Says here, hey, Justin, I love the content you produce. Do you have thoughts on the Two Notes Captor X? My use case would be playing on silent stages and silent playing and recording at home. Yeah, man. I don't know, man. I get a little suspicious with those things. And for me, I like vintage tube amps, I just would really be careful if you're going to use one of those load boxes with an old tube amp, because you could blow a transformer with those things, if you're really cranking them up. If you have a reissue amp, that's fine. I would say, F it and use it. I think it's a great tool where if you're trying to play loud and you're trying to, play quietly, I mean, like just at your home, but you want to turn up your tube amp and get the cranked up tones and stuff, I think that's cool. But I just don't really like that stuff, to be honest. I like moving air. I like miking up a cabinet. What I do like for live is I do like to run a Palmer PDI box. It's the PDI 09 is what it's called. And it basically works the same way, where you take the speaker tap off your tube amp and then you plug up the speaker cabinet. So it's just a through box, But what's cool with those is that you can get the tube amp to go totally direct, And if you blend the Palmer with the microphone on the speaker, it's a really nice tone. You have to make sure that they're in phase and everything, and the timing of it is correct. But they sound really great, because you get all of the air and all of the fatness from the mic, and then you get that direct just punch from the Palmer, and they're very affordable. You do have to run a speaker cabinet with it, though. It's not like a load box where you could just plug up the tube amp into the captor, or like an aux box or something, and then you could just go direct and have no speaker at all. So that's the biggest thing with those. But I just don't trust any of that stuff with an old vintage tube amp, man. I'm really cautious with that because, man, if you have an old tube amp and you blow a transformer, like, you're screwed. I mean, trying to find another transformer is almost impossible. Almost impossible. So I just am really cautious with those things, man. I just don't like that stuff, man, really. But let's see. Soft Southern Night is in the house. Hey, man, what's going on? Thanks so much for being here. Says here, if you need a good acoustic, I have a Gibson Stage Deluxe I can send along to you to try out. Really nice wood box, a 12-fret model. Really cool, man. That's awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate that, man. I'd be curious to try it. I mean, a 12-fret model, I don't know if that would work for my situation, because I do play a lot of lead for acoustic, but I'd love to try it. That'd be cool to try it. I really appreciate it, for sure. But let's see here. We got Ty in the house. Hey, Ty, what's going on, man? Nice to see you. He says here, hey, Justin, good to see you. Good to see you as well. Appreciate it. And we have Richard in the house. Hey, Richard, what's going on, man? Thanks so much for being here. Says here, can you recommend an acoustic electric with a thinner neck on a $1,000 budget, please? With a thinner neck, man, off the top of my head, I'm trying to think, man. There's some pretty decent acoustics out there for very cheap, man. I mean, I know for a long time, man, I used to use an Ibanez acoustic. I used that for years. And actually, my dad got that for me for my 16th birthday. And I think that guitar was $500, so it was very affordable. But that guitar sounded really good, actually. It played well, I don't use it anymore, like the bridge is starting to kind of come up on it, and it's just seeing a lot of use and a lot of wear and tear because I've just played it a lot. So that's why I upgraded and I got this J45. But with that guitar, man, I've been having a lot of issues with it, like I was talking about. But yeah, man, I would take a look around at some of the Ibanez stuff. I would take a look around. I mean, I think even Taylor, they make some pretty cheap acoustics that are not terrible. I'm not crazy about the way that they sound, like the pickup in particular. But, if you're just looking to play it at home or whatever, like, man, there's some great options out there for not very much money, for sure. So, let's see here. OAEOEAO. Man, that's hard to say quick. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate it. Good to see you. It says here, hey, Justin, going to see you going live again. Does the new 66 Telly have original frets? Blonde Tellys with rosewood boards are wonderful. Yes, it does. It has the original frets. I'm just getting 2 of the frets polished up because I could feel a little bit of it on the 14th fret, and the 3rd fret. There was just a couple little things that just needed to be polished out, but that's it with that guitar. So I just have that going on with that guitar, so I'm getting that done right now as we speak. So I'm going to pick that up this week, which I'm excited about. But yeah, it has all original frets. It is 100% original. There is no modifications, nothing done to that guitar. It is absolutely perfect. It's perfect. No crazy routes, no BS. And what I love with that guitar is that the bottom of the neck, where it goes into the neck pocket, there is no wear whatsoever on that. There's zero wear. And that is a huge rant I have with a lot of vintage Telecasters, is those guitars have had the necks just on and off a million times with that thing. And people were jamming the neck, into the neck pocket. And that's what causes all of that, down below on the very bottom of the neck pocket. There's a lot of wear and a lot of, heavy wear on the bottom of that neck there. And that just drives me nuts. But with that guitar, it is mint, man. It's perfect. So that neck has been off that guitar, very few times probably over the years. And, it is just a beautiful example of a 66 Telecaster with the rosewood board. The rosewood board, you're going to get a little bit of a fatter tone, and whereas the maple, it would be much brighter. In my opinion, that's what I hear with those boards. But I love a blonde finish with a rosewood board. It's just absolutely perfect, man. So super happy with that guitar, and it's featherweight as well. Featherweight, man. 6.7 pounds. That's it. So it's super, super light. I love that guitar, man. And it's just so hard to find a great vintage guitar, that is that clean like that, That's the thing that is hard with this stuff, Like, I already have people that are interested in buying that guitar, and, I really appreciate it for sure. But, like, it's just so hard to find a guitar that is that nice, that is that clean, And, man, once you find one and it plays that great and it's just in that kind of condition, it's really hard to let go of, for sure. But I've really got some amazing stuff, man. I have an amazing collection right now of stuff. I mean, I've got that 64 Hummingbird that's 100% original. I've got the 66 Blonde Telecaster that is 100% original. I'm getting a 64 SG this week that is 100% original. Absolutely perfect. No heel repair on that guitar either. Zero heel repair, which is absolutely beautiful. Just incredible. So I'm really happy about that. It plays great. The pickups sound incredible on that thing. Just absolutely mind-blowing how good that guitar sounds. So I'm getting that. And what else do I have? I mean, I've just got a set of reissue instruments that I take out on the road. You know, I've got an R9 that I've modified heavily. I have modified the hell out of that guitar, and it sounds killer now. So I'm really happy with that. I've got this badass Les Paul Custom. That's a reissue. Also have a 6970 Les Paul Custom that is badass. That is pretty much in collector grade condition, you know. And that guitar is a transitional guitar. And that's why I call it, you know, a 6970 Les Paul Custom. Because on the back of the headstock, there's no Made in USA stamp. The volute is next to nothing. I mean, it's like non-existent on the back of the headstock. And it is 100% original as well. I mean, the hardware has very little wear. The gold is absolutely perfect on that guitar. Perfect. The pickup covers, the tailpiece. There's some wear on the ABR, but that's pretty typical because that's where your hand's going to be, you know. But that guitar is just perfect. The only thing that makes it 70 are the pots. That's the only thing. And that's 10th week. So very early 70s. So that guitar is truly a transitional guitar, and I buy up those kind of guitars because I like to collect them because they are very rare. They're very hard to find, you know. Yes, they made plenty of 69 and 70 Les Paul Customs, but how many did they really make that have that particular spec? It makes it a lot more rare, you know. It's very collectible. So that's also a really cool guitar. But yeah, anyway, sorry, I was just looking at my phone here. My phone's blowing up. But you know, if you guys would like to support this channel, be sure to check out all of the links that I have down below in the description box. There are many ways that you can support this channel. You know, I just donate my time here on these live streams, so any and all support is really appreciated. You know, if you want to throw a little love in the Venmo Tip Jar or the PayPal Tip Jar or even a Super Chat here on today's live stream, you know, any and all support is really appreciated. Once again, this is a donation of time. And I do want to plug my one-on-one online lessons. You know, my one-on-one online lessons are absolutely amazing, and you're actually seeing and hearing the exact setup that I use for these lessons. I record these lessons as well, so you'll actually get a recorded copy of the lesson at the very end. So you can just simply download the lesson and rewatch it as many times as you want. So it's a really amazing platform, and it works incredibly well. And I'm teaching people from all over the world now. I mean, it is just amazing what that has turned into. It's completely changed my career, and it's completely changed my life. So if you want to come on in and join in, you know, feel free to send me an email today at jkm4231@gmail.com for some more information on this. I'd be happy to get you down in the books today. And, you know, this is a huge help for me. So I really am so appreciative to all of my students and to all the fans out there that support me. You know, I couldn't do this without you guys. So I'm forever thankful to everybody out there that supports me. So, again, check out all of the links that I have down below in the description box. Let's see, 1000 here says, what is it about vintage guitars that makes you want to collect them? Well, I just love them. You know, I love the inspiration that I get from the instruments, you know. The way that they feel, man, the construction is so much better. It's so much better than the stuff that they make today. You know, the parts are just garbage that they use in this stuff now. I don't like the pots. I don't like the caps. I don't like the stuff that they make, man, now. It's just simply not the same, you know. So I really collect them just out of the passion and the love of the instrument, you know. That's really why, you know. I don't really look at all of this stuff you know, from the money perspective. I don't really think of it like, yeah, of course it's a major investment, so I do have to think a little bit about that I don't want to be in something for too much money where I can't at least get my money back out of it, you know? If I break even on something, I'm fine with that. I'm happy with it. I just like to collect it and I'm passionate about it. I love these instruments so much, and it's what all of my heroes played, you know? These vintage Gibsons, you know, I mean, they're just the best instruments in the world that were made in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And my favorite music is from those days, you know? So all of my favorite players use this stuff. And this is what they recorded with. This is what they wrote. I mean, all of my favorite music was created using these instruments. And it's just so funny, man. I mean, once you play that vintage guitar that is perfect like this, that sounds amazing, it's the right weight, it's inspiring to play, there is no feeling like it, man. There's no feeling like it. And it brings out the best in your playing, you know, and my ears are so sensitive to tone, you know, and to the instruments and to what I'm hearing, you know. If the tone isn't right, I'm not going to play the same, you know. So with a lot of these reissue instruments, I just am really sensitive to the way that they feel, the way that they sound. I mean, even down to the volume knobs, you know, the way that the vintage knobs feel, because I use the guitar volume knob and the tone knob so much on my instruments, it has to feel a certain way, you know. It's all of these little things, man, that bring out the inspiration. And that's what a lot of novice players don't understand with this. You know, and I don't really care what other people think or what other people play. I really don't give a shit. This is just what I like. I like vintage guitars, you know, I like to collect them and I like to play them. And I get a lot of inspiration from it, you know. But again, I'm not in it for the money. That's never been the point of any of this, ever. Of course, I'd like to break even on it, at least, at the very least. But I just love this stuff. It's so fun, man. And, you know, with a lot of these instruments, they don't need a lot of maintenance, you know. Maybe in the wintertime, a little tweak on the truss rod is really all it needs, you know. It's not like a vintage car or something where, you know, there's so much upkeep with that stuff, man. I mean, it's just insane. And, you know, for me, with a vintage instrument, I mean, you get to play music and create with it. And, again, it needs very, very little upkeep. So it's awesome. Let's see. We got Sean in the house. Hey, Sean, what's going on, man? Nice to see you. It says here, the Takamine EF341SC has a thin neck, and you can find them used for under 1K. Cool, man. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with those, but that's awesome. Let's see. 1000 says here, my Fender's tone knob is too sensitive. A minimal turn is probably what you mean there. Creates a huge difference in tone. I'd like to have it replaced. What brand do you recommend to replace it with? Ah, man, that's interesting. I wonder what guitar it is. What instrument is it? I mean, is it an old pot that you're using, or is it a reissue where it's got a new pot? I mean, I'd have to know more about the instrument, but I mean, if you're looking for like a new pot to replace it with, I mean, I wouldn't suggest any of them because they're just garbage, to be honest with you. The new pots are just terrible. They're really, really bad, actually. You know, I have this R9 that is brand new. It was from, 2024. And I remember the first week I had it, man. I mean, these are supposed to be brand new pots. And the first week I had it, the pots were already scratchy. I mean, they're just garbage, man. You know, and that's a very typical thing. It's not a big deal. It's very easy to clean that with some contact cleaner. But still, it's like, really? These are supposed to be brand new effing pots. It's crazy. But let's see here. Scott says here, hi, Justin. What is your preferred guitar cable? so much is made about certain brands magically having better tone. Yeah, man, to be honest with you, that is all BS, man. It's all BS. The only thing that will change is how much length that you are using with the cables, as far as what is going to change the tone, you know? If you're running 200 feet of cable, let's just say, for example, that is going to change the sound, man, for sure, in comparison to running 10 feet of cable. So that's going to make a difference in the high end, you know? But I just like cables that work, man, that are reliable, that aren't going to shit out on me, you know, after a couple gigs. So there's a couple that I personally use that I like. I like the Mogami stuff. They're really, really effing expensive. But what is cool with the Mogami stuff is that if anything happens with the cable, literally anything, I mean, you could even take a pair of scissors and cut the cable and bring it over to Guitar Center or wherever, and they will immediately exchange the cable with, and totally free of charge, with a brand new Mogami cable. So I really like those. I like the D'Addario cables, the stage cables. Those are really nice. And I also like the Klotz cables. Those are badass, man. They're really good. But again, really expensive and kind of hard to find. So that's why I like the Mogamis, because if anything happens to them as I'm out there on the road, I could just go up the road at Guitar Center and just, you know, throw it down on the table and they'll give me a brand new one. So that's what I like with those, you know. And you know, they sound good, they're consistent, they work well, and you know, that's that. So let's see, 1000 says here 82 Strat. Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, I would just leave it alone, man. I wouldn't change it. Just leave it alone, man. And I mean, that's actually not a bad era for Fender. You know, the 80s, they're actually pretty decent, you know. So I would definitely just leave them alone for sure. Let's see here. Scott says here, Bonamassa says CTS doesn't make pots like they used to. Yeah, no, definitely not, man. The new pots are garbage. They're nothing like the originals. Nothing. They're just nothing, man. They're just terrible. But it just is what it is, you know. It's just so crazy to me with these reissue instruments. I mean, literally everything is different about them. I mean, it's not even close to being the same instrument. And it just really blows my mind, you know, and especially seeing these prices on these guitars, you know. Like the Murphy Lab Les Pauls, I mean, I think they start off at like almost 8,000, and then they go up 1,000 per relicking level, you know, that you get. So if you do like the light, or if you have the medium, or if you do the heavy, you know, the heavy Les Paul could be like $11,000 or $12,000. I mean, it's just nuts. I mean, it's just absolutely nuts. So, you know, for me, the way that I look at it is, it's like, man, I'd rather just save the dough and just save up for a great vintage guitar. I mean, I don't want to pay $12,000 for the BS that they put out nowadays. You know, and that's exactly what it is. It's all BS. You know, the pots are terrible. Like, the stuff is not good, man. It's not good. Let's see. Ty says here, are there any aftermarket pickups you really like? No, not really, to be honest. I really don't like a lot of this stuff. I do have a particular set of pickups that I like, and a particular output that I really like, but I'm keeping that for myself. Not going to mention that, you know, because, you know, that's my sound, man. That's what I like, you know, and it's important for everybody out there to take the time to find out your own sound. You know, don't just copy what I do, you know, or these other YouTubers, you know, or whoever, you know, these players. Like, you got to find your own stuff, man, and that's important, man. It's so important. Like, you know, it's great to get inspiration from other people, you know, and it also depends on the music that you're playing, you know. Like, for me, for example, I get hired on for all this Nashville stuff constantly. So for me as a player, I have to recreate the sounds that were used on the material. So that's going to really alter what I'm doing and what I'm going for whenever I'm choosing my pedals or if I'm choosing an amplifier. There's a particular tone and particular vibe and a particular thing that you have to get with this guitar tone if you want to call back, So you got to think about that. I mean, it's the funniest thing, like I get a lot of shit for using a Nobles, right? But it's like, I literally found out about the Nobles because I know Tom Bukovac. I've known him for the past 10 years. I didn't just watch a YouTube video and, just copied, because of, Tommy uses the Nobles. Like, to be completely honest with you, my journey with that pedal has been funny, man, because back in the day here in Nashville, you could buy a Nobles ODR1 for $100. They were $100, they were 150, 200 absolutely tops if you had the box and the paperwork with it. $200. So I remember, man, I had two of them at one point. Back in the day when I first moved to town, I bought two of them. And I paid $200 for them. And I remember I plugged them up and I was like, man, I don't like the way these sound at all, actually. These Nobles sound like shit. But what I did is I actually just put them away in my closet. And I never used them again. But I held on to them, for several years. And all throughout time, I would see them around. And, again, it would be $100, $150, $200 or whatever. But then I started seeing the prices going up on them, And I seen that they went up to $400 each for a Nobles. So I actually posted both of those on the local Craigslist here in Nashville, and Guthrie Trapp hit me up and bought them, and so I sold him two of those for $800, So I did pretty good on them, But I just started I started to see the prices going up and up and up on them, and over time, I would find more and more of them just around town, and eventually I actually collected like 15 of them. I had like 15 of them at one point. And just recently, like last year, I just decided to sell off all of them. And, with that pedal in particular, they all sound a little bit different. So that is the big thing, is those two in particular that I sold Guthrie really did not sound good. They sounded like shit, actually, to be honest with you. But I have found with those pedals that they all are a little bit different. I have a particular Ram Nobles that just sounds absolutely incredible. It's like the best mid-range, the perfect amount of gain. It's really good sounding. So I've held on to that, but I literally sold off all of them since. And I just can't believe what they're selling for, I mean, they're selling for like $1,500 each now. So it's just kind of nuts. But, that pedal, man, to be honest, a lot of those original Nobles do not sound good, to be honest. You really have to find the right one. So I have found this Ram one to just be the absolute best. But, again, for me personally, if I was, recording my own music, which I'm going to do, my plan is this winter to go in the studio and start recording my own stuff. But, again, if I was recording my own stuff, I wouldn't just go and copy somebody else's pedal board, I'm going to create a pedal board for my own music. But for me as a for-hire guitar player, I have to have a pedal board that's going to really fit the vibe of the Nashville music that I get hired on for. If I show up with an 80s hair metal guitar sound when I'm playing 90s country, my ass is going to get fired. I mean, that's just not the vibe. It's not the tone at all, So that's the whole thing that I just don't understand. People would be like, oh, dude, you use a Nobles like Tom, and they give me shit for it. And it's like, okay, that's like saying you can't use a Marshall because Eddie Van Halen used a Marshall. Or Ace Frehley used a Marshall, so you can't use a Marshall. I mean, give me a fucking break. Like, I just think it's so funny, man. People are just weird, man. They're just strange. But I just thought that was funny. Anyways, Oh, let's see here. I already answered this actually. Where the hell was I? Um, Here we go. Oh no, I answered that too. I was right here. Okay, cool. Sorry about that. I got a little distracted. For the Love of Guitars with Keith says, "Hey Justin, what's going on, man? How are you? Good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it." But yeah, folks, if you feel like you got something out of today's live stream and you guys want to support me, you want to support the channel, feel free to throw a little love in the Venmo tip jar or the PayPal tip jar or even a super chat here in today's live stream. This is truly a donation of time. I don't make anything, literally nothing on these live streams. I just do this because I love to connect with everybody, and I really appreciate everybody's support here on YouTube. It's really been an amazing journey, and it's just so cool to be able to teach literally all of these people from all over the world. And it's just amazing what that has turned into. It's completely changed my life. And I couldn't do this without you guys, so I really do appreciate it. But that said, this is truly a donation of time, and I don't make anything on this. So if you guys want to help out with my vintage guitar addiction, feel free to throw a little love in the Venmo tip jar or the PayPal tip jar or a super chat here. If you are interested in one-on-one online lessons, I do offer lessons as well. So send me an email at jkm4231@gmail.com. That's going to be linked down below in the description box. And these lessons are absolutely amazing. You're actually seeing and hearing the exact setup that I use for these one-on-one lessons. It's all pro video and pro audio. And what's so amazing with these lessons is that you'll actually get a recorded copy of the lesson itself at the very end. So you could just simply download the video and rewatch it over and over and over again until you really get all of the information down, And I just think that that is so cool because I remember, gosh, man, like back in the day, if you were to take a lesson from somebody, you would have to, try to remember literally everything that the teacher was saying, and there was no way to go back and rewind and do all this stuff. Whereas with my lessons, you can actually do this. You can just simply download the video and rewatch it as many times as you want. I mean, it's just amazing, man. And the platform works so well. It is incredible. It's incredible. So hit me up today at jkm4231@gmail.com for more information on this. So let's see. For the Love of Guitars says here, any tips you can share for slide guitar on electric, or is that taboo on the stream? Yeah, man, that's taboo on the stream. I'm not giving that out for free. Save that for the lessons. But anyways, let's see. Shit, we've already been going for almost an hour and 15 minutes now already. That's nuts, man. These live streams they go so fast, man. It's mind-blowing, I absolutely love doing these, so this is just so fun, man. We've had an incredible turnout here today. So thank you guys so much for all of the engagement and all of the questions. If you guys have any questions for me, feel free to leave it there in the chat box. I'd be happy to give you an answer, There are some questions I try to stay away from, like the previous one, about tips about slide guitar, because I save that for my students, It just wouldn't be fair to the people that hire me, that pay me, if I was giving all of this information out for free on these live streams. I don't play like that. That's not how I play. So, I save that for my one-on-one lessons, So if you want to take your guitar playing to the next level, hit me up, jkm4231@gmail.com. It's also linked down below in the description box, They're really amazing, I'm telling you. They just really, really are incredible. A lot of my competition, they film this stuff on an iPhone and, it all looks and sounds like shit, I wouldn't feel good about doing that, I really want it to be really professional and really look and really sound good. So, I've really taken the time and I've invested a lot of money into this setup to really make these lessons fucking amazing, So I really have put in the time and the effort into these, and people just absolutely love them. I mean, I've been teaching people since I started offering one-on-one lessons. That is how long I've had a lot of my students for. I mean, it's just incredible. So people absolutely love it, and man, we are having so much fun, man. And it's just amazing to see my students grow as musicians, They are so much effing better than before. I mean, it's just incredible how much better they are, you know? And man, it's just so rewarding. It's so fun. And I never really realized how much that I really love teaching. You know, it is so fun to see my students grow and to see them become this just badass guitar player. I mean, it's just amazing. You know, and it's so funny, man, because so many people will spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on gear, on guitars and pedals and all this bullshit, you know, but they can't even correctly identify a major key for an effing song. It's like just mind-blowing to me. Like, what the hell are you thinking? I get it, like the gear is fun, but I'm like, man, you got to be able to identify the major key correctly, you know? You got to be able to improvise. You got to be able to do this kind of stuff, you know? And that's what just blows my mind. Is like people will spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on gear, but it's like they can't play or they can't identify a major key correctly. Like, it just is mind-blowing to me, you know? Mind-blowing. I just will never understand that. And it's like, man, if you pay a little bit of money for lessons, you can really figure out what the hell is going on and what the hell you're actually doing. You know, for me, that's what makes the gear so much more fun, is when you can really play and you can really identify all of this stuff. You can really figure out this stuff, and the gear just gets to be that much more fun because you really know what the hell you're doing, actually, you know? But a lot of people just don't really, they don't really think like that, you know, which is bizarre to me. Let's see here. For the Love of Guitars says, Ty, I bought some La Brea Seymour Duncans for my telly and love them. Cool. Let's see. 1000 says here, if your house was on fire, what are the 2 pieces of kit you'd grab to save? Man, that would be just devastating. I don't even want to think about that. But, I mean, you know, the 335 for sure, the 61, I would grab that. I mean, I would literally, you know, try to grab as much as I could, you know. I would grab the Pinstripe 412, the Plexi, you know. I don't know. That's really hard to say, man, just to limit it down to 2 because I have amazing stuff. You know, I that would just be devastating. You know, I don't even want to think about that, man, you know. So, but yeah, definitely, I mean, the 335, you know, the Pinstripe cabinet, the 412 here, I'm talking about the 68 Plexi, you know, my old acoustic, my old Hummingbird 64 sounds absolutely effing incredible, you know. And it's completely 100% original too, so, you know, I love that acoustic, man. I love that thing. But, yeah, I don't even want to think about that. Let's see here. Scott says, unless you found the pick of destiny, more gear won't make much of a difference. Yeah, it's true. You know, like, if you don't know how to play or how to identify these major keys, I mean, what the hell are you thinking? Like, you know, buying a guitar or whatever, it's not going to do anything, you know? And I get it, it's fun, you know? I like to collect stuff too, you know? But, man, like, you got to be able to play this stuff and figure out this stuff, you know? It's so important. But a lot of people do it. Richard says, now we're back to, quote-unquote, I have seriously overspent my talent, LOL. Yeah, I mean, it's just mind-blowing to me, you know, like, if you can't hear this stuff, you know, you can't learn songs quickly, you can't identify major keys, like, you can't improvise, you can't do this stuff, you know, for me, if that was my situation, I would not be buying instruments, you know, I would say, F it, man. I'm going to take some lessons and really get serious with this, you know. And that's why I put in the work, man. When I was practicing, when I was coming up as a player, I put in the work to develop my ears, to, be able to improvise, to do all of this stuff, to have the technique, right? To do all of this, I was so like particular on that. I really wanted to get good because it's all about the source, man. It's all about how you play and having the knowledge to be able to do all of this stuff. Like, it's just so important. Buying an instrument is not going to change any of that. Of course, if you buy a great vintage guitar or something, or, if you buy some instrument that you really like, that you get inspiration from, that could change the way that you play a little bit. But ultimately, you have to have the knowledge, man. You have to be able to develop your ear and to do all of this stuff. I spent hours upon hours upon hours, developing all of this stuff, And for me, I still have my first guitar that I practiced on, I still have that guitar, man. And I never messed with any of the gear, man. I never messed with anything. I just played my instrument, man. That's it. And I would just practice and practice and practice, I had a Marshall amp and I had a Les Paul Studio. That was my first real guitar. Really, my first guitar was a Squier Strat that was unplayable. It was literally unplayable. So when I got the Les Paul Studio, it was a huge game changer for me because I could actually play it and actually practice the effing thing. I could play it and enjoy it. So, that was huge for me, man, when I was learning to play. But let's see here. 1000 says here, I had an unfortunate loss of equipment once. My advice is have insurance through the musicians union. Yeah, I carry insurance on this stuff, So I've got that for sure, which you got to have that, by the way, too. If you have a big collection that's really valuable, I would really say get insurance. It's really, really important to have that. For the love says here, losing your number one would be devastating. Yeah, definitely. Not the cost as much as the sentimental value. Yeah, totally. Definitely. But yeah, I just think, we're in this age now with, YouTubers and YouTubing and all this stuff. And, these guys, like, there's so much gear and so much stuff. And these guys talk so much shit on here, and it's like, I can't believe some of these guys are serious, with some of this stuff. I'm like, I listen to the sounds that I'm hearing on these videos, and it just sounds like shit, I wouldn't take their advice on how to get a great tone, A lot of the stuff is just not good, and I just can't believe that some of these guys are serious with some of this. It just blows my mind, But people don't know any better, They don't know any better, so they just watch a YouTube video and they just are like, oh, well, this guy on YouTube said this or whatever, and they just go along with that. And, they buy these pedals, they buy this gear, and yet again, they can't even improvise. They can't, figure out these major keys, They can't even hear this stuff. But yet they're buying pedals, they're buying all this stuff. It's crazy. Let's see. Tulsa Dave says here, what insurance company do you suggest? Man, there's a couple of them. I use Heritage. I really like them. I know of some other guys that use, what is that one, man? I think it's called Music Pro. Let me see. I just want to double check. I'm looking it up on my phone right now. It is. Yes, it is. Music Pro is another one that I know a lot of touring guys like to use, and I've heard some good stories with them. That they've had great experiences with them. Because they'll actually insure the gear, like with if anything happens, like if a roadie drops your pedal board and breaks the wireless or breaks a pedal or, breaks an instrument or something, you could just file a claim and they'll cover it, I've fortunately never had any issues with that. I've had a very close call on a gig once. I remember we were unloading the trailer and the crew guys were, the stagehands and everybody. and they were putting all the gear onto a pallet, you know. And so they have this pallet and they're loading all the gear on there. And then what they did is they took a forklift and they went underneath the pallet. So obviously there's the two arms there. And I remember the one guy, man, that was operating the forklift, he got one of the arms underneath, but the other arm missed, and it almost went right into the gear and almost just destroyed my guitars. And fortunately, nothing happened. It was a very close call, though, and he caught it in time before actually going into the gear. But it was a really close call, man. So fortunately, I've never had any issues. But, man, I really suggest carrying insurance for sure. You just never know, man. You never know what the hell could happen. Let's see. Just gonna skip that. Let's see. For the Love says here, you can get insurance through homeowners insurance as well. Cool. And Tulsa Dave says here, thank you, no problem. And 1000 says here, I don't like to disparage anyone, but there are people online with millions of subscribers and they can't play. I think they came along at the right time. COVID launched a lot of careers. Yeah, I totally agree, man. You know, and that's great. You know, I also think a lot of these guys are also paying for this stuff too. I think there's a lot of smoke and mirrors on social media. You know, I know that's a very common thing. Like even here in Nashville, man, it's so bizarre. Like you'll see these artists that they supposedly have all of these followers on Instagram or Facebook or whatever the hell they're on. And you know, you go to their posts and they have, you know, let's just say 30,000 followers or something, right? But you click on a post and they get 15 likes. You know, they get 10 likes. Or maybe another post gets 100 likes. You know, it's like, this is just fishy to me, man. Like, I really don't believe that these guys have 30,000 followers with that kind of engagement. I think a lot of these guys, a lot of these dudes are paying for this stuff, you know. And, you know, you can buy followers. You can buy subscribers, you know. And for me, my channel is 100% authentic. I've never done any of that stuff. Never. I've never done any of that stuff. So, you know, to me, I just find it so funny that people do that. But what a lot of these artists will do, right, is they pay for the followers because let's say that they're looking for a gig at a club or something. Well, what they'll do is they'll send the club their social media numbers and their page, because that's obviously a big thing with getting a gig, because the club wants to know that if they're going to hire you, you're going to actually draw people, right? Because they figure, oh, okay, well, if this dude has 30,000 followers, we're going to hire them because, you know, maybe they could bring 50 people in this club and those 50 people could be drinking, you know? And it's just so funny how it is, man. There's so much fake BS here on social media and with a lot of these guys, man. And I really feel that even here on YouTube, man, a lot of these guys are paying for this stuff. It's not legitimate at all, to be honest. And you see it even here, man, in Nashville with a lot of these artists, man. These people supposedly have all these followers, but they have next to no engagement whatsoever. And I always get a little suspicious of that, man. I think there's something more going on there, for sure. And they're paying for it. But again, like I was saying, is like they want the numbers to be, you know, inflated so that when they go in for a gig, the club owner could be like, oh, wow, they have 30,000 followers. Like, they could probably get 50 people in here drinking beers, you know? But it's all BS. It's all smoke and mirrors, man. And that's what so much of social media is, man. It's just such BS. Okay, I answered that one. 1000 says here, by the way, homeowners insurance will cover some pro audio, but you have to have your documentation, receipts, etc., and have it submitted to the insurance company before an event happens. Yeah, definitely. Great advice, man, for sure. For the Love says here, great point. But don't you have to do the same thing with insurance through a company that specializes in music gear? Yeah, that's how I think of it too, man. I like to have specialty insurance just for the gear. I don't like to do that where I go through a homeowner's insurance. Like, I don't mess with that, man. I have it specifically for the gear. Let's see. To your comment about buying subscribers, there was a YouTuber who accidentally showed a screenshot of her bot software. It went viral. She was having conversations with a bunch of bots, man. That's crazy. Yeah, there is so much BS, man, on here, and it's just all smoke and mirrors, man. All smoke and mirrors. For the love of guitars says here, yeah, the bot thing is for real. People buy followers and subs, and it totally messes things up for people like Justin who earn things without cheating. Yeah, totally right, man. I totally agree. I mean, my channel has been completely improvised. I just started making videos, and that's what has made me really successful. Is people can really tell that I'm being myself. It's very authentic. It's very real, and a lot of people like what I do on the instrument. People love my music. They love what I do, and I feel I offer something very unique. It's a very unique thing. I'm a much younger guy. A lot of these guys that are great players, they're all double my age. They're all 50, 55, 60, I'm 29. I feel I offer a completely different experience and a younger perspective. And the stuff that I'm doing, nobody else is doing at my age. There's nobody that does what I do. Nobody. The only guys that I've heard are double my age. Like I was just saying, they're 55 or 60, So for me, people love what I do, and that's what's made me really successful on here with all the lessons and all the things that I do, The fans are just incredible, man. It's amazing the support that I have gotten here on YouTube. It's completely changed my career and changed my life, And it's just been wonderful, man. It's just been so fun. And, so many people have become great friends on here. And I recognize a lot of names now. And, man, it's just really cool. So, but yes, this channel is 100% authentic, I've never paid for any promotion or subscribers, following, or any of this BS that you see all of these guys do on here. It's all smoke and mirrors, man. So many of these guys. Let's see. We have Ryan in the house. Hey, Ryan, what's going on, man? Thanks so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for being here. It says here, with a 4-hole Marshall, a la Sir SL68, I run it around 5 for slight breakup. Yeah. Tube Screamers and SD1 still the best drive pedals in front. Any pedals you might recommend for a different drive sound? Yeah, man. I actually like to use a GE7 actually to boost it. I like that better than the Tube Screamer or the SD1 even. I mean, the SD1 is a particular thing. If you're going for like that 80s kind of hair metal, like Jake E. Lee kind of guitar sound, that's kind of what I hear whenever I'm using like an SD1, that kind of 80s, real tight but aggressive kind of Marshall sound. That is cool. But I actually like to use a GE7, man, because you can actually go in and use the EQ, if you wanted to boost a little mid-range, or maybe add a little bit of low end if you're playing a Strat or something. And when you crank up the level, you would be amazed, man, at how much gain that you get from boosting the level slider. You could get a lot of effing gain from that GE7. And when you're boosting top end or mid-range, or if you want to cut a little low end, if you want to add a little low end, you can actually really get in and really dial up these particular frequencies. So I really like the Boss GE7 for that reason. I mean, it's just a really versatile pedal. If you wanted to use it like with a deluxe reverb, like how I do with boosting for solos, where I'm just adding a little bit of mid-range after the drive pedal, that is a way to do it too, man. It's just a great pedal. But, there's nothing wrong with having a Tube Screamer or an SD1 if that's what you like, That's totally okay, I just personally like a GE7 because you can actually go in and dial up these frequencies, which is awesome. But thanks so much for the super chat, and thanks for the question, man. I really appreciate that. And guys, once again, if you feel like you got something out of today's live stream and you want to support this channel, feel free to throw a little love in the Venmo tip jar or the PayPal tip jar, or even a super chat here in today's live stream. And if you are interested, I do offer one-on-one online lessons. I'm teaching people from all over the world. I'm using the exact setup that I use for these one-on-ones. They're absolutely amazing. It's not just filmed on an iPhone and is just half-assed. It's really professional and it's really well done. And it's so cool because you actually get a recorded copy of the lesson at the very end. So you can just simply download it and rewatch it as many times as you want. So for more information on this, hit me up at jkm4231@gmail.com. It's linked down below, and check out all of the other links that I have down below there. Thank you so much for all the support. And 1000 says here, when you hit your 50s, you'll realize to yourself it ain't as old as you thought it was when you were 29. Believe that. Yeah, no, man. I mean, the time flies by, I mean, gosh, I moved here in Nashville 10 years ago now. I mean, I was like 19, and it's just amazing to think about that I've been here 10 years now. I mean, it's just mind-blowing, It's crazy to think about that the time has just flown by like that, but I could definitely see that, when you hit your 50s, it comes around quick. But let's see, 1000 says here, have you ever been intimidated on a gig, like looked around and felt like you were not on par yet with the caliber of other guys on the tour? No, man, I've never felt that way, I'm really confident in my ability. I have a great set of ears, that is it's a natural ability. I can hear this stuff. I can hear everything, so I'm very confident in that. It's not being cocky. It's just, I know my ears. I know what I can hear. So I've never really felt intimidated, I will say, I mean, there are, great players here in Nashville, man. I mean, like Bukovac is excellent. If I play around him, I do get a little bit nervous, to be honest, because he's great. He's really great, man. I mean, he's really, really great player. But like I was saying earlier, I don't hear anybody doing what I do at my age, to be able to compose like I do, my ears and how I can hear everything. I just don't hear it, man. I really don't hear what these other younger guys are doing, The only guys that I hear that are doing this stuff are double my age, Like I was saying earlier, they're 55, 60, So that's just my opinion, man. I just honestly really feel that. So, I've never really been intimidated, But that said, there are great musicians here, man. There's great players here in Nashville, man, for sure. And it just makes it so fun when you're on a gig like that with really great players, It's so fun when you're playing with great musicians, There's just a lot of egos here in Nashville, There's a lot of guys that also think they're really great, but they're really not, So that's the thing with being for hire, as a guitar player. You have to deal with all of these egos and all of these different personalities, and, it's like, it's really mind-blowing to me, some of these guys that are here in Nashville, because there's also a lot of really bad shit out there here in Nashville too, There's a lot of great musicians, but there's also a lot of really pretty rough stuff. But sometimes as a for-hire musician, you have to deal with this stuff, because you need the work, You have to juggle all of these different personalities and all of these different, bands and different musicians that you play with just constantly, But it just kind of blows my mind, man, how some of these people, they decide to move here and they come here and it's like, wow, the stuff is just rough, man. Really, really rough. But let's see here. Tulsa Dave's in the house, and he says here, I spoke with my homeowner company, and they would not cover my guitars for what I paid for them. If you have custom shop guitars, homeowner coverage is not ideal. So I appreciate Justin's suggestions. Yeah, that's what I always thought too, man. That's why I carry specialized insurance just for the gear. I just don't feel good about doing that, like going through the homeowner's insurance, you know. I just always use specialized insurance for it. So I use Heritage. I really like them. But I know a lot of people that use Music Pro as well that have had really great experience. So go and check them out. For the Love says, yeah, Tulsa, my wife has insurance for her jewelry that is a separate plan under the same company that does the car and home bundled. I wonder if the same companies do that for gear, but you're right. Specialized is the best bet. Yeah, I agree. Holy shit, I've been going for an hour and 40 minutes now. This is absolutely nuts. I think I'm going to sign off here, folks. I mean, I have really, a great crowd here and great engagement. I really appreciate everybody's support, but I got things to do, and I should probably sign off. But thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Come on and join me next Sunday. I should be able to do it. I am playing in Tuscaloosa on Saturday, so I'm hoping that I can try to find a time Sunday morning before I leave to do this. So just stay tuned to my community page. I'll do a post and I'll update you guys with the time as to when I can do this Sunday live stream. I absolutely love doing these too, by the way, folks. As I've said, these are so fun, man. I can't believe it's already been an hour and 41 minutes now I've been on here. It's just absolutely nuts. But thank you guys so much, seriously, for all the support. If you guys feel like you got something out of today's live stream and you want to support me, check out all of the links that I have down below in the description box. There are many ways you can support this channel. Any and all support is really appreciated. This is truly a donation of time. So any and all support is really appreciated. And we'll see y'all next time. Thank you so much for being here. Stay tuned. I got a bunch more videos. We'll see y'all next Sunday. Take care.